Hello my friends, welcome back to the channel. My name is Spike and in today's video we're here to talk about Project Motor Racing. It's the 25th of November, the launch date for Project Motor Racing. I've just finished my first ever session on live stream and I have to say it was pretty goddamn awful, so bad in fact that I decided to check social media to see if the devs themselves had anything to say about how the sim has been received by the community, and lo and behold they have in fact published a message to the community, and I figured we'd just have a glance through this to see what it is they've got to say in regards to the Sims. So they basically talk in this first paragraph about how this is a people-driven project. They've spent 3 years pouring their hearts into it, and they say that it hurts to know they didn't meet the expectations on release, although I'm not sure why they're surprised at this reaction, because it's really obviously bad, and this is kind of the problem that I see with this statement. In fact, they say it themselves: at the time we did not foresee performance issues during our testing across platforms and different specs of machine, and it runs so badly and looks so bad. It looks like a PlayStation 3 game. It looks, you know, several generations old, and it runs pretty damn horribly, dropping frames, crashes, glitches, visual weird anomalies happening. Just quite a rough presentation overall, and to say they didn't foresee it, it feels like a bit of a lie, because how do you not spot these glaring mistakes in testing? It's not like a massive player base has loaded an online server and it's the first time that a player base has stressed a server in an online context. This is a build of a game that can be run on individual machines, so it just doesn't make sense. The excuses that maybe we've seen from FPS games in the past and just large online games just don't fly with this one for me. They go on to say where things stand, the problems with the AI, the numerous issues with AI behaviour, the fact they run into you when you're on the racing line. They seem to just stick to the racing line and have a disregard of where other cars are around them. I've had a few of my sessions tonight end with just a car not reacting to my presence, and it means racing offline is pretty impossible, because you can't actually safely go alongside cars and challenge them going into braking zones and on corners, because you just don't know if they'll turn into you. It just seems really inconsistent and poorly tuned. They're saying some of the planned improvements need to be done at engine level, which is PR speak. To me, I read that's PR speak for we need more time because we've released something that's undercooked and broken. And they go on to try to redirect attention to the things that they have worked on, the patch, the 1.5 day one patch, and referencing that that's just the start of a long road to an eventual recovery, hopefully. But then they carry on with some more PR mumbo jumbo here. We're going to tackle these head on. This matters to us, and your experience matters to us. Which, if it did, you wouldn't have taken £80 off me and given me this like pile of rubbish. They go on to talk about what's coming next, which is, I think, deliberately ambiguous. A full roadmap showing where we're headed with performance updates on triple screen VR, and your most requested community features. What does this mean? Most requested community features, and then details on several features many of you have asked about. Which, I don't know, if you're giving us a full roadmap showing where we're heading, then maybe elaborate on what these points are, because this just feels like, I don't know, this point is the same as the end of this point, and maybe, I don't know, maybe just 2 bullet points didn't look very good in a statement, I don't know. But yeah, God. It's the fact they say a full roadmap and then they follow that up with 2 ambiguous points. Like, what are you going to do about it? And the only bit of detail we've got really is this updates on triple screen and VR. And to be honest, we're running before we can walk here, because it looks rubbish and doesn't run well on a single monitor. So can we just get that right before we start talking about triple screen and VR? Like, obviously that's the standard and where we should be getting to, but the fact it's released and it's taken £80 off me and it doesn't fucking run properly is not the best pleased, I have to say. And the statement doesn't end there. It's a weird one, because there's like this commentary interdispersed with ambiguous action plans that don't really address some of the, I guess this is talking about AI in fairness, and that's a big issue at the moment. And yeah, we come to this paragraph here on this being on a new generation of simulation technology. We're still shaping it, still refining it, and we'll keep doing that with you. And I think back to when they were developing the game, they had a test driver. I can't remember what it was called off the top of my head, but you know, they got people to test it. They got real drivers to test it. They got people who are experienced in driving sim development to test it. So where's all that information gone? Because it's obviously not fabricated into a good end product. Your feedback is our guide. We hear you and we're committed to delivering the sim you expect. after we've taken your money. Thanks very much. At the bottom of the page, they've got some of their priority fixes. They're sorting out some peripheral issues on PS5. I'm not really sure what that means. Stabilization of online servers. And to be fair, when a new game drops, the online is always a bit shaky. It's the first time the servers have been stressed in that way. So I kind of understand that that can be a bit patchy, and that's sort of the expectation. And then investigation of Xbox users unable to launch the software. People on Xbox who just can't fucking launch it. You can't make it up. You actually can't. How have they released it in this state? How? And it's a shame, because when it comes to the actual content in the game, the car pools and the fields and the licenses they've secured, there's a lot on offer here, and it could be really good fun. It's just annoying that on a foundation level the sim doesn't run and it doesn't work very well. I look at these old GT cars and it just feels like a carrot's being dangled. Okay, I wasn't planning on doing this, but I figured we'd just jump into a race here and I'll cut through some of the highlights and talk about some of the issues that I'm having. I think mostly they've been discussed by other people in the community, but I figured as we're here we might as well jump into a race in Sebring. So I've got a multi-class setup with LMPs and some NGTs. This opening cinematic, the track detail looks, I know it looks really washed out. The models and stuff, the track detail, like the car models and caravans and stuff, all looks very PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3. Colour palette wise, it's looking washed out. This whole kind of open cinematic is running at a horrible frame rate, dropping frames everywhere. Okay, I'll skip the cinematic where we go up the grid because there's loads of cars and the frame rate makes it look horrible. It's a nice idea, but it just doesn't look very good. When it's lights out here at Sebring, it's I think a 15-minute race, and noticing to start with the particles coming out the cars up the road, the grit kind of being kicked up, just looks quite naff, to be honest. The roadside textures, and this is on like high settings. One of the problems here is the flag system and penalties. So you'll get a 2-second penalty for cutting a corner, which is what you deserve, maybe even more than that. But then if you get bopped off the circuit by AI, or if you make a mistake... Oh, did you hear that? So that was my crew chief or my race engineer telling me not to hold up the guys with the blue flags. And as you can see from the track radar, there is no traffic near me. And I found that in every multi-class race, I've been given an early blue flag warning. By quite a substantial distance as well. Getting blue flags when you're kind of half the circuit away from the faster class, and that's why I put a multi-class race on for this, because I wanted to highlight that. Okay, annoying that I made the mistake, but it demonstrates the point here. That's a track violation. I lost time in that because it was a mistake. It wasn't me deliberately cutting or pushing beyond track limits. That was an error.
Leaders behind you, blue flag.
Okay, leader behind me, blue flag. I'm seeing the blue flag in the top left. Look on the radar. Where are the leaders? Fucking miles away. You can't multi-class race in here without it being immersion braking. I was racing MX-5 versus some Porsche Cup cars earlier against AI, and the Porsche, which is much faster, was stuck for 2 laps behind an MX-5 in a train. All the space and straight in the world to overtake, but not able to work out how to do it. How are you meant to have a convincing offline career with AI that's that poor? So, you know, if these things worked, you know, I could potentially look past the rough presentation. Nope. Okay, and that happens a lot as well. So, blue flag came in too late. The announcement there on the radio, it'd already gone through. To be honest, I wasn't looking, and to be honest, I don't want to look in my rearview mirror because it looks that horrible. So I'm seeing blue flag again, and the problem with that is that you get a blue flag, and it's like Boy That Cried Wolf. There isn't anything there, and so you just start ignoring it, and then suddenly there is something there. A couple of laps later, the force feedback feels okay. I mean, it works. There's some strange things going on with the handling and the throttle. Like, it feels like the throttle takes ages to kick in. I've had to play around with some of the throttle settings, but it just feels like the throttle bogs down. Okay, blue. Okay, there we go. Blue flag again. I'm not getting the visual indicator this time, but I'm getting it on the radio, so that's inconsistent. If you look at the map there, you can see the class ahead. Sorry, the faster class is stuck behind the train of NGTs. I'm too far away now, but if you look at the radar, yeah, you can see here now we've still got LMPs stuck behind NGTs. They've had a fair whack of time to work through that. But yeah, AMS2 looks better and plays better, and you get similar car offerings there. So I don't know, I'd be spending more time in that now. It's kind of clutch that that's come in with some 2005 content in the last couple of weeks, because that's scratched the itch that this was supposed to be getting. Again, blue flag on the radio, nothing around me on circuit. This one's been running okay. It's still quite choppy, the frame rate. I don't know what the recording's going to look like, but it's not holding 60 FPS, that's for sure, and it's dropping frames down then. And I was saying earlier on live stream that it feels like, I don't know, it feels like I'm just disconnected from it. And maybe that's not a fair assessment, because I've been playing AMS2 in VR, in which you feel very connected to it. But it feels just, I don't know, hard to engage with, because it's just not very good, I guess. Just looks dreadful as well. This, especially this circuit, because it's quite a concrete dominated landscape here at Sebring. It definitely accentuates the grey washed outness, but it feels like this on all the circuits I've tried. I've tried Lime Rock, which was a frustrating experience because I was doing the online license thing you have to do at the start, and it took like 3 attempts because the AI was punting me off constantly. I literally got to the last lap of it after a couple of attempts, and on the last lap an AI didn't pay attention to where I was on the track and just turned into me and boxed me off and got me a penalty. So that was annoying. But yeah, tried Lime Rock, I've tried Spa to do a Maserati leaderboard challenge. Trying to think what else I've had a go at. A bit of the Red Bull Ring, which is where I've experienced the worst of the AI's behaviour. An MX-5 spinning and then driving the wrong way on the circuit, and then across the circuit, and then back across the circuit again, kind of taking 2 cars out of the race in the process of doing that, getting really confused. Okay, I'm now expecting the radio to chip in and say race leads on the way. I'm going to lift here and let it go. But what annoys me with that statement, going back to the statement, which is where this video started, is that they're claiming they didn't see it coming. How can you not see this? How do you not see it? I was thinking actually last week when I was making the video about the price changes from the publisher, and actually some of the missing content from the carpools and stuff, some of the things that I highlighted in the last video basically, that Ian Bell reminded me of another game dev. I just quietly had this thought that Ian Bell's like the Peter Molyneux of sim racing. And if you know who Peter Molyneux is, and if you were ever a fan of the Fable series, it's kind of the epitome of over-promising and under-delivering. And that's kind of what this is. Oh. Even just the feeling of that crash, like, just felt, it was like a click as I hit the tyre wall. Just, yeah, really, oh, okay, that is my fault, sorry guys. My bad. Like, I want it to be a success. Like, I really want it to, and whether that's through the first party updates and patches, or whether they just go, nah, this we failed here, and they leave it in the hands of the community to sort out, because I'm sure there's people out there that can, if nothing else, take some of the assets out of this and implement them somewhere else where they can actually be enjoyed. Conversion mods. Oh, race over. I'm so glad that that's over, because that was an uninspiring 15 minutes on a very grey and washed out Sebring. Hello, Editing Spike here, and I just wanted to point out a couple of things I've noticed in post that I didn't mention as I was running this race or recording the rest of the video. So, first off, the amount of times the radio came in to warn me about faster traffic when it didn't need to. I lost count of how many times it was. Secondly, the visual indicator for the blue flag doesn't stand out against the rest of the colour palette of the sim. So look how grey and washed out it is, and then look at the colour of the blue flag. It's not like a deep blue, it's a light, almost grey sky blue that just blends in, so it doesn't catch your eye. And with the radios coming in all the time at not very helpful times, it's difficult to notice the blue flag. So that's one of my complaints. Another thing that I wanted to mention here is if you look down at the track map, this is an OBS recording of the game, and I noticed as I was streaming and as I was playing it that the cursor doesn't disappear, and I just found that really annoying. You have to move it onto another monitor, and this is in full screen mode, so I don't know, it's just these kind of small touches that make it feel undercooked and not ready. And lastly, just a shout out to the console players who are capped at 15 car grids. That's something I forgot to mention, and I just wanted to draw the comparison because on console and ACC on Tuesday nights with Race Club UK, we sometimes have 30-40 cars on the grid, and that's a sim that released in 2018, so the standard that's been set for sim racing by par sims just has simply not been met by Project Motor Racing. So it's a shame, and I just wanted to mention those things before I round this one off. Anyway, I think we're going to leave this one here for today. Let me know your thoughts on Project Motor Racing down in the comments. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I shall see you in the next one.